This talk presents a deep learning approach to create high-resolution traffic crash risk maps from various data sources. Before this work, crash risk maps either have very low spatial resolutions, or they are purely based on kernel density estimation on historical data, making them inadequate to precisely predict future crashes. In this work, we show how to produce high-quality crash risk maps. Our risk maps not only have high spatial resolutions, but also can predict future crashes at places without historical crash data. Why does this matter? According to a report from WHO, each year, traffic crashes kill 1.35 million people, and 20 to 50 million people get injured. Crash risk maps, which describe the crash rate at each location, is a helpful tool to reduce the crash risk. However, the benefit of existing risk maps is limited by their low spatial resolutions and low accuracy. In this work, we improve the quality of crash risk maps. We present a deep learning model which can use different context information to create high-resolution crash risk maps, enabling many applications. For example, drivers can use this map to find a safer route from one place to another. Insurance companies can provide customized insurance plans based on the driving trajectories of their customers. This can encourage drivers to avoid high-risk areas. Because this map is data-driven, we can use it to evaluate the impact of road layout changes by feeding the model with synthesized data that reflects the changes. This can be a very useful tool for city planners to design safer roads. High-quality maps are great, but why all the existing work produce risk maps with either low spatial resolutions or low accuracy? We found that the answer to this question is because the crashes are too sparse. A common used approach to predict crash risk is to train a neural network model and maps the input data to the crash rate. In this approach, to train the model, we need a training dataset with many pairs of input data and the target crash rate. However, when we consider a high-resolution risk maps, it is almost impossible to obtain the target crash rate. This is because when the resolution is high, the annual crash rate at each grid cell can be very small, for example 1/10, which means if you look at the count of crashes at that location over a year, you will observe 0 or 1 crash. Simply based on this observation, it is very difficult to estimate the crash rate correctly. There are two simple solutions to fix it. One is to aggregate crashes over time. If we have 100-year-long historical data, we may observe 10 crashes in 100 years, and that can help us to estimate the 1/10 annual rate. Because the solution requires long historical data, it is not practical for places with medium and low risk. Another solution is to aggregate crashes over space. We can reduce the spatial resolution by 10 times, and the area of the grid cell becomes 100 times larger. In this case, we may observe 10 crashes in 1 year, and estimating the target crash rate becomes possible. Of course, this solution sacrifices the spatial resolution, and this is the reason why so many existing work produce low-resolution risk maps. In this work, we show that even the crash data is sparse, it is still possible to create high-quality crash risk maps. Our solution is based on an intuition that similar places should share a similar crash rate. Based on this intuition, to estimate the crash rate, instead of aggregating crashes over nearby locations, we can aggregate crashes over similar locations. For example, suppose we have 100 similar places, and if we observe 10 crashes at those places in 1 year, then the annual crash rate is very likely to be 1/10. Of course, we don't manually do this aggregation. In fact, if we replace the target crash rate with the sparse crash observation and make sure the training dataset is sufficiently large, the training process of the model will automatically perform this aggregation. This allows us to build a deep learning model and learn the crash rate end-to-end from data. Based on this insight, we build a crash rate prediction model. The model extracts context information from different data sources, including road networks, aerial imagery, GPS trajectory data, and historical data. The rich context information is helpful to describe the similarity among places. In our evaluation, we trained this model on a large dataset covering more than 7,000 square kilometer area in 4 US cities. We show that it is indeed possible to create high accuracy and high resolution risk maps just from sparse crash data. We find a risk map with such high spatial resolution performs much better compared with the low-resolution maps. In the meantime, our model performs better than methods based on historical data, especially in medium and low-risk places. For example, in this region, our map successfully highlights several places of crashes, where there were no crashes before in the past 2 years. We highlight some interesting results here. For more details, please come to check our paper and GitHub. Thank you.